morning. Welcome to the regular council meeting for the city of Freeport, June the 9th, 2026. Please stand for invocation and pledge.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for bringing us all together, Father. Please guide us and direct us as we make the best decisions for our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, we have our consent agenda. Under tab 1 is the bills for the city of Freeport. Tab 2 is the regular council meeting minutes from May the 28th, 2026. Tab 3 is a budget amendment for the lighting phase 2. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? If not, I'll ask for approval from the consent agenda from the council.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Brannan.
Aye.
Motion carried. Are there any additions or deletions to today's agenda?
Yes, sir, I have one.
All right, sir.
Good morning, Council, Mayor. Wanted to come before you this morning. Got an estimate from Chelco. That's about moving the service.
Paul, it's just the addition part. You'll give your presentation during sewer, right, Mayor?
Okay.
What, it's a Chelco? What was the
Sure,
addition?
Yes.
Okay,
Got it.
okay. Thank you.
All righty. So we add Chelco to the sewer, okay?
Yes.
I'll ask for any others? Approval for the addition to today's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Brennan.
Aye.
Motion carried. We understand that there are a number of people here who may wish to address the council. In order for the meeting to proceed in an orderly manner, be advised that public comments on any issue before the council will be accepted after the city council has concluded their initial discussion and received input from staff. When we ask for public comment, please raise your hand. You will be recognized to approach the podium. At that time, you'll need to state your name for the record and spell your last name. We ask that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes. After public comment has concluded, the council will readdress the issue at hand prior to action being taken. We also ask that you please silence your phones and please refrain from talking during the meeting. We're going to, first of all, I'm going to move under myself, under new business, the employee of the month. I would like to go ahead and do that presentation. The employee of the month is, of course, selected monthly in recognition for dedication, passion, and hard work supporting the residents of the city of Freeport. This last month's employee, I'd like to present to Mr. Torrey Wynn with the Billing Department.
That's what we do here.
Now moving along with the staff reports, I'd like to move the, under planning, the Bayview PDP resolution under tab 9 to the forefront of the meeting, please.
Mayor, while this is a PDP, it is a PDP that is totaling 27.75 acres. This will be a quasi-judicial proceeding, so anyone wishing to speak, including staff, needs to be sworn at this time. This is the Bayview PDP resolution. Anybody in the audience that wishes to speak, ask questions, or otherwise does need to be sworn, you will be offering sworn testimony at this time. So if you plan to speak on this, please let me go ahead and swear you now. If you don't speak, that's okay that you were sworn in, but otherwise it becomes a problem for us if you don't get sworn now. So please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. Everybody just stand up. There we go. I do hereby swear or affirm that the testimony I present will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you, Mayor, staff, and the audience are sworn. I would ask that after staff's presentation is made, in deference to the members of the public who've taken time out of their day to be here, that the applicant make their presentation. Certainly the council has the opportunity to ask questions, but that the applicant be prepared to take notes on all public questions and then stand at the end to answer those questions and additional questions about the council, rather than going back and forth. I feel that typically will derail our public comment section. I want to make sure the public has a chance to get all of their concerns addressed, and that we get everybody's statements on the record rather than going in a back and forth.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Morning.
We have received quite a bit of public interest in this particular PDP application, and I did provide you copies of the public correspondence we received on both sides with a summary, but there were some underlying common concerns, and I've prepared some answers to that that might help head us off without having to answer each and every question, if I may. First of all, if this is a parcel that's 27.75 acres located on the interior curve of Bay Loop at the southwest side near Red Barn Road. Can you hear me now? Okay. Yes. Okay, this is a parcel that is 27.75 acres on the interior curve of the southwest corner of Bay Loop Road. It has a large man-made excavated lake on it called Lake PJ, which you may be familiar with, that's been historically used for catfish farming, aquaculture. They are proposing a change from low-density residential and, excuse me, I lost track of what I was saying here, and rural village. They're not changing the zoning, but they're proposing a residential plan development project. And I just want to reiterate, I know you guys know, but the audience may not, that a PDP plan is a conceptual plan. The technical planning, as far as details, making sure that it meets all of the land development code requirements, will come at the time of development application. So I have a summary of the reiterated concerns from the public comments. The first one that we saw a lot of was drainage, runoff, and flooding concerns. And part of that will not be addressed until we do technical review. We don't have the detailed reporting and technical review that will be done at the development application phase. I would just like to reassure you that part of our land development code does limit runoff. They are required to do detailed stormwater studies and have to account the stormwater that drains off the property cannot be more than it is when it's not built out. So there are limitations in place, but they just aren't addressed until the development application phase of things. They're requesting...
If you will, on that, I want to be clear. So where we are now is the approval of the PDP resolution.
Yes, sir.
The concerns, and we've done this many times before, probably not your first time having one of these, but this is about the third PDP where we've had these exact concerns, and we like to try to put this on the record for the public. Should the council pass this PDP resolution, the question we always get is, well, then you're required to approve and let them go forward with their development. To be clear, if they fail to comply with stormwater management standards of the city code or what would be required by DEP or water management district, would they be able to go forward with the development we approved today?
No.
In terms of what the resolution authorizes them to do, is there any specific variance or ability to vary from the stormwater requirements in this document?
No.
So council, for the record, while those would ultimately be technical things in the future and for the public's benefit, what that means is that there will definitely be stormwater review at the staff level. Where that goes and what that does will be an engineering and technical question. Today, you are not authorizing any type of wetland mitigation, any type of fill or otherwise. As of now, they would be getting what their entitlements are, and there are no variances to water But if they are unable to fulfill those entitlements due to future wetland delineation surveys or otherwise, that could affect their rights. Is that correct?
Correct.
There you go.
Thank you. They are requesting a variance to setbacks and lot sizes, in particular lots on their property. I would like to point out, however, that those are identical to the ones that were approved for the adjoining Hammock Bay PDP that abuts them on their north side, top side. The height of the homes, they're not requesting any variance to the height. That has been another thing that's come through the letters quite a bit, but there is no variance for height being requested. The privacy fencing and buffering is being requested by a lot of the residents. That's another thing that will be reviewed at the time of development application. Traffic access and management still will be reviewed at the time of development application. It is a county road, and the county is one of our technical reviewers, so they will be reviewing the traffic portion and the analysis of this development when it comes through the development process. Wildlife and environmental impacts. The environmental assessment is actually required, a detailed one, at the development application phase, but they did go ahead and have one done. And the wetlands were identified under the property. They are in Northwest Florida Water Management's jurisdiction. They will be required to do 25-foot buffering on the wetlands. And no endangered species or critical habitat for the threatened or endangered species were found during that assessment. And density, this PDP is not requesting any variance to density. So those are just kind of answers to a lot of the repeated questions. Do you have any particular questions for me? And if not, we do have the engineer for the project here that can answer those questions.
Councilwoman Hafner?
Thank you, Mayor. You addressed some of the questions I was going to ask because we had citizens email us as well, and I do appreciate you taking the time to write us and share your concerns. My one question is, I know there was all these, like, I guess little lakes or bodies of water that we're building homes over. So, because you can see them on the map, and I had
So
saw the map from last time. So why is that okay?
So a lot of this property was used for catfish
Right,
farming.
that's what you said.
Quite a few of these little ponds were catfish breeding ponds. They were man-made, not natural, and
Okay,
yeah, they're stormwater type ponds.
okay.
Councilwoman Brennan?
Sorry, I had one more really quick. I apologize. No, it's okay. My other question was where the roads are going to come out, you know, and this may be something that their engineer needs to answer, but a few citizens from Red Barn Road did reach out to me because it's kind of, there's Red Barn Road, then Taunton, and then they're kind of in the middle. So it's a little bit, you know, uneven, so to
Right.
speak. So that comment was made to me by several citizens on that road that are concerned about how everyone's going to get out when you're coming from all these different intersections. So we were just curious or I was curious if there's any way to, well, kind of change where the road comes out, frankly.
And again, we're at the conceptual plan stage of this.
Right.
That's all going to have to be part of the development application process. They'll do their traffic study at that point, site triangles, and
Right.
that'll all be evaluated between the engineer. Walton County will get involved because it's a Walton County roadway. So
Right.
it will be evaluated, but it's not been done at this time.
Well, it would give me a little bit of comfort if they would at least agree to potentially look at that or give something, you know, and maybe, like I said, their engineer can discuss that when they come out. But that was my other kind of
I
lingering
understand the
question.
traffic there is a big concern to everybody.
Councilwoman Brennan?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question on the project. What type of hardship exists on the property that prevents the development under the existing setbacks? There are so many, setback requests.
Right, and
What kind of hardship exists if they couldn't bring in a project that fit the actual setbacks for this property without
okay, I may let
asking
the engineer
for those?
answer
Okay.
the reason for that. I do know they're trying to keep the pond as an amenity, which may have something to do with it, clustering the development around the pond, but I'll let Cliff answer that when he comes up.
Okay. I had one other question too. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And I understand what you said earlier about us approving other things with other lots. That's not this project.
Correct.
And that's on a per-case basis, and I don't like being told because you did it over here, you got to do it over here. No, I don't. Okay, so I understand that previous councils.
I agree with you, ma'am. I just want to point out it was
I
for
understand that.
consistency.
And I understand that previous councils have approved deviations and other developments, but my responsibility is to evaluate the request before me right now. And I don't believe that prior approvals will automatically justify any future approvals on my decision.
Legally, that is a correct statement for not just you, but for the entire city council.
Yes.
And I have a question too. What impact is this increased impervious coverage going to have on the stormwater runoff? Because the code allows for 30 to 40%, but they're asking for 70%. Okay, so that was a big ink for me too. I see that they're doing a lot of clustering, and I'm assuming that that's so they can get the most homes that they can get in this.
And again, I
On
don't
this
know. We'll
plan.
let them
So
explain that.
I'll ask them the same questions then.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I agree. The basis of a PDP is that it is requesting variances from our code. And basically, it comes down to the council either approves with conditions, or denies. We just present the information, and it's up to you guys, so.
Understood.
All right, thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Council, Mayor.
Good morning.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Just to kind of give you a quick overview. What we're proposing on this project is a preliminary approval for the PDP. It's 27.75 acres, as she mentioned earlier. 26 acres of the property is currently low-density residential, which is 4 units per acre. 1.75 acres of the property is rural village, which is 2 units per acre. So this is the lake that she was mentioning a minute ago. This is a 5-acre lake that's existing. The small catfish ponds that you were talking about, they're kind of spread out all through here.
How big are those ponds? Do you know?
Most of them are very small,
Okay.
but there's a bunch of them.
Because it looked like little pockets.
They are.
You know, they didn't look too, it's hard to tell,
Yeah.
scale on the map, but.
Yep, so, on the 27.75 acres that we have, we tried to provide some public benefit with the project as well. And so we have a large park area down here, that's connected with a timber bridge off the bike path. And this is gonna be, open to the public and to the community. It's got a, public restroom, dog walk area, and we could certainly have room for a playground or whatever of those type of things. And so, one of the reasons that we're asking for the reduced setbacks is so that we can provide some public benefit in the property as well. And we don't really want to fill in the lake. We want to use the lake for stormwater treatment. Right now, the lake is not controlled anyway. It just kind of has a pipe that just discharges to the wetlands going to the east. As part of the design, we would put in a control structure so that the pond functions as a stormwater facility, but also would meet all the city of Freeport requirements and the water management district requirements. And this project's a little bit different than most other projects because it discharges ultimately to Choctawhatchee Bay. And in December of last year, the water management district changed their rules to any project discharging to Choctawhatchee Bay has to meet nutrient removal criteria. Because they've determined that Choctawhatchee Bay is imperiled for phosphorus. And so we have to not just meet city of Freeport stormwater requirements, we have to meet the new water management district requirements, which are much, much more stringent than the city's requirements. And so for that purpose, we're proposing to use the whole 5-acre pond for stormwater. And so in addition to the pond, we would probably have to have some swales in some places as well. But really what the intent of the project was not necessarily just to cram as many lots in as you can, but to provide some connectivity to the bike path. So somebody could come in on the bike path, come to the park. We have trails all through the project, and so they could exit on that end down there, or they can come in on 10 feet long, some of them are much longer than that. And so, you guys, she mentioned a minute ago the environmental assessment that we had completed. We did an environmental assessment on the property, and there's a few small wetland areas that I'll show you.
Can you try to speak in the mic as best you can?
Yeah.
Because people watching online can't hear.
Yes, I'm sorry. So we had an environmental assessment done on the property, and there are a few wetlands on the site. There's a small isolated wetland right here. There's a small isolated wetland right here, which is like 0.05 acres. This wetland's 0.1 acres. And there's also a small wetland that's isolated up here where our entrance or exit would be. These are the ponds that you were asking about a minute ago.
Right.
And so we are avoiding all of these wetlands down here in this portion of the project, but we plan to fill this small isolated wetland here, this small isolated wetland here, and that small isolated wetland there, but which would be done through Water Management District and DEP. And you know, one of the goals of the project was to try to use the lake as an amenity, was one of the goals of the project. And so, so the intent was not just to stack and pack all the lots we possibly could. The intent really was to try to provide some public benefit and still make it worthwhile to do. As I mentioned, the trails are connected on both sides to the Bay Loop Trail, and the park area would be open to the public. The other item that we would like to do with the PDP is have a restaurant site. And so this is the proposed restaurant site. It's on the very south end of Bay Loop. The owners of the project live directly across the street from it. And we're proposing a 4,000 square foot, two-story restaurant. And so this would be parking for the restaurant, that would be parking for the restaurant, and this would be additional parking required for the park.
Can I ask a question on that, Mayor?
Councilwoman Hafner?
I'm glad you brought up the restaurant. I meant to bring that up earlier. If I can ask a couple questions real quick. So I have had some citizens call me as well about, they're concerned about the noise, because it was, I guess, mentioned at the planning meeting that there was going to be live music outdoors every night or something was
No.
said. So I had several calls about that too. So I can understand that, but we don't need blaring loud music till late at night. I'm not gonna support that.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So I can understand some music, but if we're having bands and whatever's going on, you
Yeah.
know, I have some concerns about that for the neighboring. I mean, we can hear the bay in our neighborhood that's miles away across the water, so.
yeah, we never proposed the live music. That wasn't something that we brought up or we
Okay.
said we planned on doing.
So that may have just been a fake
Yeah.
rumor then,
Yeah,
okay, no
that's-
problem.
The other thing is the city can put conditions on the development order for things like hours of operation or any of those type of things when it goes through the technical review.
Sure.
If you guys wanted to make any kind of restrictions, you can do that during the development order.
I was only concerned about noise, but if that's not gonna be the case of like super loud music, like regular music is one thing, but concerts or super loud things, you know, I am concerned about I mean, there's a lot of neighbors right around this parcel as we can see, so I just wanted to ask about that.
Yeah,
During technical review, we can address special events separately than standard conduct of contract activities and such.
Thanks
Yeah.
for clearing that up. And the other thing about the road too, sorry, what's your opinion about the concerns about where the road comes out, since it's kind of in between these, you know, there's a lot of people that live down Red Barn Road,
yeah,
you know,
so,
already, so what is the opinion there?
so there's 22 people that live down Red Barn Road now.
Right,
The biggest issue is trying to make sure you have adequate separation between the two entrances, so that
Okay.
if two people are making a left, if these people are making a left and these people are making a left, as long as there's adequate distance between the two, it's not a problem.
sure.
If the
Well, yeah,
coun-
there's gonna be a lot more people coming out of your neighborhood that are gonna interfere with the people from
Right.
Red Barn Road, right,
Right,
I
right.
guess is the point.
Right, so
but-
we,
You're saying there's enough distance that they should both be able to safely get out if they were getting out at the same time?
yes,
Is that
ma'am.
what you're saying?
And we had a
Okay.
traffic study done on this already
Okay.
also, and so Joe
Okay.
Poole did a traffic study on the whole project,
Okay,
and the stopping sight distance is adequate now at both of these entrances. That was something that was brought up at the planning
Right.
meeting was, is there enough sight visibility for somebody pulling out right here to see traffic coming
Sure.
to their left and right? And the stopping sight distance is adequate based on the curve of the road now.
okay.
If the council wanted us to try to line them up, we can certainly look into ways that we can do it, but.
Well, I was
kinda
just looking for what's safest,
Yeah.
was my concern there, really, Cliff, is just what's gonna be the safest for, how many cars, you're gonna have, hundreds of cars potentially could be in and out of there to impact the other roads was really my concern.
Yeah, the stopping sight distance is adequate for where it's located right now.
Okay,
Councilman Ferris?
Well, on your study, and I know you've got to go before the county, and I know over there, Bay Loop Road, we don't have a lot of road. Is there any way, or would the county look of maybe trying to put in some kind of turn lanes? That's one issue that I see on Bay Loop,
Yeah,
is some of these projects that's gone in, there's no turn lanes and the traffic backs up and everything else.
Yeah.
If someone's not paying attention, boom,
Right. But we did have the turn lane warrant analysis was done in the traffic study, and the traffic study determined based on the trips that are on Bay Loop now that a turn lane was not warranted. But if that's something that the city wanted to see happen as part of our development order, then certainly that's something you guys could require. Based on the traffic that's on Bay Loop right now, it's not warranted at either one of those two intersections with this being built. But if it's.
That's so
again,
interesting,
and
because
it's-
there's, the one section of Hammock Bay's got 9 new neighborhoods in it, so that's interesting that they'd say it's not warranted.
My
Well,
next
it's
question,
not, just not warranted based on this
Right,
number of lots.
I understand,
my next question is gonna be where I know a lot of people back there, they're concerned about the flooding.
Right,
And how, because when we end up, and we get tropical storms, we get hurricanes, we get whatever.
Yep.
The rain's, the water's gonna set.
Mhm.
How can we make sure that other people's property with this is not gonna get up on their property and cause them issues?
Yeah, so what's happening right now is a lot of this property is draining to the east down here where this large wetland was. I'll show you on this other one. So this is where a lot of the water from this neighborhood and this property is all trying to go this way. This is a large wetland. It's at the southeast corner of the property. This actually drains all the way through to the creek that goes under
Right.
Bear Creek Bridge.
right,
So the water is all trying to get to here. I think that there probably are some issues on Bay Loop Road up here to the north.
right,
And probably some improvements may need to be made along Bay Loop to get that water around to where it's trying to go. I don't know if there's undersized culverts on Bay Loop Road or if there's issues with that. But somebody brought pictures to the planning commission
see it.
meeting of flooding in this area up here. And it
Yeah.
appears that it's a culvert issue on Bay Loop Road is what it appears.
okay.
Okay.
Councilwoman Brandon?
Okay, I've got the same question that I had for staff. The code currently allows for 30 to 40% impervious surface coverage. Can you explain to me why 70% is appropriate in this case? And what impact is the increased impervious coverage going to have on the stormwater runoff in this location? Because that's quite a difference between 30 and
Yeah.
40% for what we allow, and you're asking for 70%.
Right.
So explain to me why that's necessary.
It is, and so, part of the reason that we would be able to handle that kind of impervious area is because we have 5 acres of pond. This was an old borrow pit. We have a 5-acre pond. Normally on a site like this, you'd have a much smaller pond than what we're gonna have for this site. And so we feel like we can handle that amount of impervious area without a problem at all.
Okay.
And I don't wanna upset anybody or stir things up, but it's the same impervious area they had up
Don't
there.
say-
And I'm sorry I had to say that, but
I don't know that I'd say that.
please don't shoot me. But this pond is ginormous compared to what the amount of stormwater volume that we actually have to have for a project of this site normally.
Okay. And what hardship exists on this property that will prevent you from doing a development that's actually under the existing setbacks?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of hardship do y'all have?
So, if we were going to, develop this with, setbacks that were not reduced in any way, then we would probably look at trying to fill more of the wetlands that are on the site, or fill in part of the pond that's on the site. That could be done. I had a pre-app with Water Management District, and they basically said, you know, because the pond is already, was a borrow pit originally, and we have aerials that show when it was dug and all that, that it actually could be filled in, but we'd want to keep it for an amenity, and it would be, available for use by the public as well. And so, we really don't want to fill in the pond, and we really don't want to fill in any more wetlands than we have to.
Okay. So it's for the characteristics of the property and not because you want a larger lot yield?
Correct.
Okay.
Councilwoman Hafner?
On the flooding piece, I did see these same pictures. So this culvert issue, was that a Walton County issue that needs to be corrected then?
It appears that the culverts that are on Bay Loop Road may have an issue with the sizing of them. We would certainly look at it when we do our detailed stormwater
Right.
Design, and can meet with Public Works and try to help them get the pipes sized adequately.
Because my, thought is if are we gonna impact this worse? Is this gonna make the flooding worse with what you're doing? Or you're saying your water's all gonna be contained in your
Yep, so we'll be
space?
discharging.
We're not gonna add to this.
Yeah, we'll be discharging from the pond to this wetland here, which is where the water goes
Okay.
now, and it'll all be going to the east.
Okay.
As far as the water that's coming,
Right, I understand.
as far
Yeah,
as the water
other
that's
way.
coming around, it's
Right.
trying to go to the south
Right,
up here. And so I don't think,
sure.
we wouldn't be contributing to the problem, but I can certainly meet with Public Works and try to come up with culvert sizes going around Bay Loop to make sure
Sure.
that,
Now,
make sure
Okay.
it gets fixed.
Okay. That's all the questions I had, Mayor. Thank you.
And I'll be happy to answer any other questions that come up as you guys receive comments. Thank you.
thank you.
Who's that? The owners, do you have anything?
I believe it would be appropriate to let them go first, and then let any of the public's questions be answered by the project applicant who is expressing.
Yes, sir.
Morning. My name is Chris Colessa. I live at 4400 County Highway 83A of Bay Loop. I live directly across from the project. Long story short, we moved back here close to 7 years ago, had a house in Choctaw for 17 years. Came back, met Mr. Wilson, who's the actual property owner right now. He asked me to be the overseer of the property. No problem, just to keep people out of there from fishing and hunting, so there's no, it's an insurance liability thing. So all these years I've been wanting to try to buy this property. I couldn't afford it. So in the past year, Mr. Wilson approached me, said, shoot me a price. What do you want to do with it? I said, I'd like to have a restaurant here. I'd like to put some homes here. He's like, great idea. We made a deal. We're under contract. We're fixing to close next week, hopefully. A little bit about myself. I did close to 30 years serving local, state, and federal entities globally. I do things by the book. I own Deep South Land Clearing. I'm blessed to be 2 to 4 months out with work every single month. The people that back up to the property in Moon, Swept, I forgot the name. Yes, ma'am. One of Jay's neighborhoods back there, they called me a few months ago. Chris, we have some issues. We know you're going to buy the property. We want to talk to you. I said, absolutely, I'm your neighbor. I met with all of them, but from the president to the HOA board, we met at the clubhouse. I think I met with 8 or 9 of them. Everybody that had questions, we sat down for a couple hours. When it was all over, we shook hands. Thank you very much for coming out, Chris. We appreciate it. I said, absolutely. I said, you know where I live. Everyone knows where I live. Come by. Give me a call. We'll talk. There's people in here today that know me. I always tell them. There's people in here today that I've helped them on their properties and their in-laws' properties. Didn't charge them a dime. I don't do that. I help my community. We're here. We're planted. I do things by the book. And Cliff is a phenomenal engineer, probably better than ones that I've ever seen. And he's handling everything professionally for us. we've been asked to do close to $175,000 worth of things in this property that we've done. And I don't even own the property yet. So that is telling something for me. We're fixing to put our life savings into this. I'm not gonna put money into something that is not gonna do well. As far as the restaurant, the people that live down the street from me, yes, I understand noise, this and that. I have no intention on having bands playing all night long. I hear the crap from the bay also, and from Farm to Fire. It's my backyard, literally on the bay. If we have a band, it'll be daytime. If we have a band, if there's a law, which I work closely with the sheriff's office, I give first responder lunches a couple times a year. If there's a law saying, Chris, you can't go past 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like the Orr House is a certain time, they gotta shut down. The bay doesn't, but that's the bay. I wanna keep it to where if I was a resident, which I am, I don't have to hear the crap late at night, and you won't. It's as simple
Well,
as that.
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Got kids, grandkids, everything. Like I said, we're planted down here, my wife and I. So if there's any questions, and I'm asking the public as well, as well as y'all, reach out to me. I'll sit down with you, whatever. Good? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Chris's wife, Barbara Colessa. My family has been building and developing houses for 75 years. I started straight out of high school. I'm telling my age, but 1972, I started building houses and developing. And I've been in real estate my entire life. My son is our third partner. I hear a lot of people saying, it's a farmer out of Alabama. It's not a farmer out of Alabama. My son owns Prime Construction in Atlanta, and he develops about 10 neighborhoods a year. The other reason we kind of started with this is we have a grandson that's coming down that's going to be going to college here, and we're building him a house. We are matching the neighborhood behind it, windswept. Same houses, same brick, same style. Our lots are a couple of feet bigger than theirs. One of the same builders. Obviously, I live across the road and I'm in real estate, so I want property values to go up, and they have continued to do so. We're talking about Red Barn Road. There's been 12 houses built in the last 5 years. I used to own a lot in Red Barn, was going to build. It was 2020, and y'all know the difficulty at that time, getting a building permit and trying to build, so I bought the other house and remodeled it. And we love all our neighbors, and we appreciate them, and we appreciate their concerns, and we will answer any of them that you need. It's not a fly-by-night project. Oh, and my family has owned numerous restaurants over the years. My dad's first restaurant in the 80s, because of the lakes and stuff in Georgia, was called the Catfish Vista, because he loved seafood and steak. So it's not going to be called the Catfish Vista probably, but it's, we want family atmosphere. I have 8 grandkids. We want a beach. We want the playgrounds. My heart is all about the kids, the bike tracks, we're going to have the bike racks, places to park the golf carts if they'd like to come down to the trails around the lake. There's going to be a little pier on the lake, hence the density, how we're planning it, because we want that lake for the beauty of it and for like a beach area for the children and stuff in the community. And y'all all know the need for a restaurant and keeping people close where they can walk to it or take their golf cart or bicycle to it instead of getting out on 331 and trying to cross the bridge, go to the bay or to North Beach. We'd like a similar atmosphere for the children to be able to have, you know, the family atmosphere. Also, I'd like a meeting room upstairs for the churches. I've talked to a lot of those people. We've met with people not only in Windswept, we've met with people throughout Hammock Bay, we've met with people in the Grange Shores, Cross Creek neighborhoods, Bay Harbor, the new Steamboat Springs, and I should have gotten a petition because I have 500 people that all say they want a restaurant. So that's where we're coming from, and it was very nice of y'all. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone else, other public comment, please? Anyone else? Please come up and state your name and spell your last name.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Keith Blanchard, Blanchard. I just really want, I've written multiple times and with lots of explanations, and I did want to get one clarification. I believe at the last meeting it was mentioned that the lake wasn't deep enough, so they were going to have to dredge it and to make it deeper to hold the stormwater. I'm not sure if that's correct. That was just in my notes. But really what I wanted to say was, I just request that you, and I know this has been brought up multiple times already, but just keep the current zoning. Zoning exists for a reason. It's something that you guys decided a while ago, and it was put into place, and then it seems like every time somebody wants to do something, they ask for a variance, and it's often granted. If you really want to see it up close, and this is all kind of like this conversation, drive over to Hammock Bay right now, pull into Moonswept across from Steamboat Springs, and look what's going on along that Kaleidoscope Road. It's flooded for 3 years. I've been here 3 years. Every time it rains, not just during a storm, not during a hurricane, every time it rains, it floods up and down that road. So they've trenched the whole road, probably that deep. They're putting in French drains along the side, which I hope will help. But it doesn't solve our problem in Moonswept. My yard, every time it rains, fills up with water, sits there for 3 or 4 days. It's come in my back door multiple times. I just spent $8,000 to have a French drain put in. In fact, if you drive over there, you'll see where the lot is marked right now from the city. So I'm just very concerned that that's going to happen, and the distances are going to be closer. The soil is going to be less pervious. I mean, 70%, that's a lot, if you ask me. So that's my two primary concerns, and I hope you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Fred Hine, H-E-I-N, and I think it's important to introduce myself of who I am and why I fit, why I matter. I'm a resident of this wonderful community. I actually live in South Hammock Bay, so I understand the gentleman before me's concern about the drainage. My background, because last time I talked, I was called a cheerleader. So, yes, I'm friends with Chris and his family. New friendship, but my background is law enforcement, wildlife conservation. What I do is a specialty is environmental health and safety, heavy on the environmental, heavy industrial, stormwater, air, wastewater. So I take that into consideration when I say I'm either for or against one of these projects. So based off of my 15 years of doing it on the industrial setting. Now what I hear from the engineer, it's really positive. So I trust Chris. I trust in the fact that it's going to be better drainage because we're going to have to put the outfalls that are necessary that don't currently exist. So meaning the stormwater runoff currently is worse than what it actually will be, even adding more houses, because we will engineer that out. So it's better than it is today. So I'm for it, and as a family member, a family man, I'm excited to have a restaurant that I can take my kids to. I'm excited that the public areas that they're offering, a bathroom, potentially, and some extra park space for our kids that ride their e-bikes down that path, to be able to have a place to stop. Chris has opened his doors for my kids because they used to fish in that pond when he was watching it, but he's opened his doors and let my kids fish off his dock. That's the type of person he is, and I don't know him that well, but what I do know of him is he cares about his community, cares about the kids, and I'm really excited for the potential opportunity that we have. And in South Hammock, I would just say that stuff on Kaleidoscope, that is 100% an engineering fault that they are trying to remediate now. So that has nothing to do with necessarily having too much stormwater. It was a design flaw, and you'll see those ditches and how they fill. And then they're remediating that now. So appreciate the time, and we're just excited to potentially have that new development and have a potential restaurant that we could take our family to. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good morning, Council and Mayor.
Morning.
Christopher Womack, W-M-A-C-K. I'm just a friend of Chris's. I've hired him a couple of times to do work for me. Every time he's done work for me, he's done exactly what he said he was going to do. He minimized the impact to my land with his machines. He does what he says he's going to do. Secondly, I am for the restaurant because I am also for the economic drivers that this city needs. I don't think there's a person here that says Freeport has too many restaurants. So I lived in Destin for 20 years. I moved here, and I find myself having to go to Niceville, to Funiac, or South, or back to Destin to go out to eat. I don't think that's wise. I think if you guys are approving developments, I live off of Bay Loop Road, there's developments everywhere. We're asking people to come here, buy their houses, and live here. Well, let's ask them to stay here and spend their money here, because this is where they live. Why make them leave? I don't believe this project is going to cause hardship for anyone. I believe the engineer, I believe you as the council, y'all approve things because you thoughtfully think this is a good thing for the city. I just believe this is a good, wise development. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments? Yes, sir? Good morning.
My name is Stephen Sostiric, S-O-S-T-R-I-C. I live on Red Barn Road. As the last time when I attended the meeting, I said that development is good for the county. And, you know, we bring people in, we get more tax revenue, and we spend tax revenue for good of all of us. Now, I do want to congratulate the new council. I think people of Freeport have elected really, really wise council members. Your questions are very much in place. Questions that I have. First of all, variance. That is something that is not to be taken lightly. We hear from developer about all these things, what they would like. It's great, but why do you need a variance? We haven't heard that yet. What the hardship do you have that we have to, or you have to agree to grant variance so they can build what they would like? It's not what they would like, it's what code is. We have to understand that code is a code. It's not brought because somebody wanted, you know, it was studied. It was made a code that everybody has to comply with. I think the problem is 59 lots on that property are only 87 feet deep. Engineer said, didn't mention that. 59 properties, 59 lots, that's the problem. That's what creates the cluster. It has to be redesigned. If they get back to the table and redesign this, that would be a great idea. And probably would fly through. Otherwise, they need to provide answers to why they need a variance. What hardship is causing them to request the variance other than I'd like to do this? I have questions that I don't have time to go through. I would like to submit to council to go through when they review the issues, if I may.
Make sure you give a copy to the clerk, so she gets a copy and pass out to the council.
The last thing, not the least, is the traffic safety, which was very well asked prior. I don't want to be that horse here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Hafner.
Sure. I just wanted to give one clarification, you know, for us, and Clay can share the legal aspect, but this is not a personal how we feel, or I'm sure Chris and his family are wonderful people. We have to look at the project objectively and follow the law that applies to that. So this is not a if we like you or if we don't, you know, situation. So I just wanted to make sure that's not, we can't take any of that into consideration. We have to follow our own law, our own code plus state statutes on what we can approve and disapprove. So I just wanted to make that comment.
If you want me to elaborate on that,
Please.
I'll add. So with quasi-judicial determinations such as this, which effectively constitutes a small-scale amendment, we're not dealing with a large-scale PDP project here. This is a scenario where the council, if the project meets the Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan, is legally obligated to approve it unless competent, substantial evidence is introduced that it does not comply with the Land Development Code or Comprehensive Plan. So that's step one. In a PDP, you will often find requests for variances, and that'll be step two. I think planning staff's already made clear that as far as the project as proposed is consistent with the Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan. The only exceptions to that would be their variance request. Is that correct? And I've got a nod and I've got Latilda on the record saying yes. So now we turn to the question about variances. There's a comment made about the city approves variances regularly. 20 years here, I can count on one hand and not use all 5 fingers how many true standalone variances have come before the city council. Of those, I can count one that I know has been approved and one that, while the council approved, they ultimately ended up not going forward with. It is incredibly rare for that to be the case, for the council to approve it. However, as part of our PDP process, we do have an additional standard that applies, and that is that variances may be sought from the strict application of Land Development Code, provided those variances are not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. That's the state law that oversees all this. You can't vary from your comp plan, ever. Your comp plan is your guiding document. What I would tell you, and I'll let planning speak to this directly at the very end, you are not going to see a PDP with variances that break the comprehensive plan.
Right.
The variances have to be of a form and nature that are consistent with the comprehensive plan, even if they do vary from the explicit language of the LDC. Now, there have to be reasons offered, they get put together. There's usually a trade-off. There's usually some type of a vested public benefit or improvement of the overall project to allow for that. That is where there is some discretion amongst the council about what you get to take up. But in terms of the approval or denial of a project, you have to have competent substantial evidence one way or the other, and merely because they ask for a variance is not grounds to deny the project. The scope of the variance is what you delve into in a PDP application.
Right.
Latilda, is that anything inconsistent with the way the Land Development Code or Comprehensive Plan works? And I'll just ask her to comment there.
It is consistent. The project as presented does not violate our comprehensive plan in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
It also meets the section of the code, which is in Article 3 regarding plan development projects. However, you have to consider each project on its individual merit. You can approve as presented, approve with conditions or deletions or changes. You can put a limitation that makes, if you feel that it would suit the area better, that would suit the community better, or you can recommend outright denial. But you have a range: approval as is, approval with conditions or deletions or changes, or denial. That's your range there.
And all must be supported by competent substantial evidence.
Yes.
So whichever one you go with does. But that's where we are from that perspective. But we can, if that answers the question, I'm glad to answer anything else on that.
I have one more question if I can, Mayor, for Cliff.
Councilwoman Hafner?
Cliff, can you address the lake dredging question that was presented? Are you doing, is that true?
Can we make sure we don't have any other public
Oh, I
comment?
thought
Because
you
that
did.
was one of the
Okay.
questions from public comment, so I'd like him to be able to
Okay,
address all that.
I thought Mayor did that, I apologize.
I just
thought
wanted to
he
make
did.
sure, because I saw some people stirring out there. I don't know if they were trying to get up or wanted to talk. So let's just verify we don't have any other public comment.
So is there any other public comment?
All right?
Okay. So Cliff, can you address that question, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So, we actually had a bathymetric survey done of the lake, which is a topographic survey of the lake bottom. And what happens is, if the lake does not have adequate depth, there's no oxygen in there for the fish and the
Right.
bugs and
Right.
everything that eats mosquitoes. And so, right now, a big portion of this lake is only 2 feet deep, which is
Okay.
not deep enough for the ecosystem
Sure.
to grow, to be able to have oxygen, to be able to eat mosquitoes and all that kind of stuff. And so,
Sure.
Water Management District typically requires a minimum of 4 feet deep
Okay,
in order for that system to be able to live.
sure.
which
Okay.
would help with mosquitoes and stuff in the neighborhood that's
Okay.
probably being, grown right here now.
Sure,
So
okay.
we would have to meet water management district's requirements, and I brought that up at the planning commission meeting, that
Sure.
the lake is actually not deep enough to function the way that it should.
Sure.
Um,
And I have one more question about the runoff. So the way that I see this is if you disturb those wetlands, you're gonna create more drainage issues than not. So to me, clustering your lots is smarter than messing with all the wetlands and trying to mitigate that, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, so the wetlands
I
that
mean,
we.
I'm no expert, but I'm thinking if we're gonna leave this undisturbed for water to drain off, that's probably smarter thing to do than to try to, not do that.
Yeah, I
right?
mean, we'll be putting in a stormwater system that will collect runoff from all of the lots
Right,
and take it to the
right,
lake.
right,
And so instead of just sheet flow, it'll actually be going to inlets, and the inlets will be connected to the lake.
right,
The wetlands that we're proposing to fill is a little one
right,
right
it
here
was very
that's like
small.
.01.
Right, it was very small.
And one small one there, and one
Okay.
small one at the entrance. The other thing I would point out is that if we weren't gonna do a PDP, then more than likely, this whole area right here wouldn't be park area, this would be lots.
Right,
And you would have to probably, fill in a good portion of the lake to be able to make it worth doing anything with.
right,
And we feel like this park area right here would be a big benefit to the public. And so I think anytime somebody's proposing a PDP with any kind of variance for anything, that there should be some public benefit. And so
Right.
that's what we're trying to provide with the trail connectivity and the park areas.
okay, thank
And
you.
then I would just mention too, Mr. Blanchard mentioned that we needed a zoning change, and we're not asking for any zoning change at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
So
Okay.
we're not proposing any kind of zoning change, and then the dredging of the lake would help considerably with it functioning more
Right, in the
naturally.
ecosystem, sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else? So at this point, we need a motion.
Need a motion to approve with conditions, or deny.
We only have 3 council people here. Is that right? So it's so it has to pass 3-0, right,
No,
Clay?
no,
Oh,
2-1.
so 2-1, okay.
Majority vote.
Okay,
Councilman Ferris?
Clay, now whatever we do here, when they do the technical, then that's when planning, then be more in depth of exactly what's going on.
The issues with stormwater, the actual nature of the restaurant operation, things of that nature would be handled as part of the technical review. This is establishing the large box of entitlements that they will operate within, and then they will do that. If the council would like, and we've done this on other PDP resolutions, if the council would like, the council can, as a condition of the approval, direct staff to make sure that they consider all stormwater issues such that stormwater is, that adequate stormwater sites are maintained. We're gonna do that anyway, but if you want them to make specific review of that issue based on those public comments, as well as specific review of the nature of the commercial business in terms of noise impact on the surrounding properties, those can become specific aspects of the technical review that would be called out above and beyond what would standardly be produced. Tilda, are you comfortable with that? Mr. Nauer, do you have any problem with that being a condition of the PDP resolution, such that that would be part of our technical review? There you go, you got both agreements, so if you want.
well, and we're gonna see this project again.
Yeah.
This'll come back before us again, it's not done here.
Well, I'm gonna make that motion.
No,
Oh,
it
hold on,
won't.
let's clarify that. No,
Sorry,
ma'am.
we won't see it again? Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
No, well, let me say this, unless they come in and try to change something from PDP resolution.
Oh,
And
they
I
would
will
have
tell
to
you
make
this,
a
we do
change,
see that.
okay,
I
okay,
will tell you,
sorry,
this
my
council's
bad.
probably seen that a half dozen or more times where a project has just lingered in obscurity for a long period of time and come back, and for whatever reason, we've had to represent you. But if
Okay.
they satisfy those requirements, and if you have some specific language about those approval conditions you want in there, in terms of, the conditions, like we just talked about, that this is your time to put those approval conditions on there, so that when staff reviews those, they can sign off.
Well, I like what you said, but I'd also like it in there of looking at the traffic.
So what I would say on that, Councilman Ferris, is that staff should be directed that as part of their traffic analysis of the study, both dealing with ingress, egress, as well as total number of trips, that pedestrian safety be of a paramount concern, and that mitigation measures be made part of the technical review.
And I'm gonna make that motion for approve with everything that placed that.
I'll second, but I have one more question. Was the privacy fence buffering concerns dealt with that were in some of these letters?
We
Or you're
added
gonna-
a component to the code that there's normally not a buffer between developments.
Cliff, would there be a problem putting a privacy fence along the north boundary between this project and?
Why don't we do this? Because the actual construction of the fence is something that goes beyond the resolution. Why don't we add, as a fourth approval condition, that the applicant hold a community meeting to discuss the most appropriate form of buffer on the north boundary of the property, and that the boundary would then be reviewed by planning for consistency. I mean, I just think that we're in a position where if what they present, I'm gonna look at it, I want you to look at it both ways. If what they present is truly going to have an adverse impact in sight or sound to the public, a fence isn't gonna solve that.
No.
On the other hand, if that's not the concern, them putting an extra thick hedge line up, people may not want that there either. So what the actual buffer is may be more appropriate with setback and non-vegetative, or it may be vegetative, it may be a
Vegetative,
combination.
yeah, both, a
But
little
why don't we
both.
let the public have a public hearing on that, because it won't be coming back to you, it'll at least be a public workshop that the applicant gets to produce. And then the public has a chance
Yes.
to talk about it, and then staff gets that feedback. That gives you, the public, one more chance on that specific issue at the very least.
Yeah, because it looks like the ask was to potentially leave some trees along the property line and a potential fence, but the vegetative buffer may be enough if, you know, you're willing to do that. Potentially, you could have your community meeting.
We're open to whatever. We'd love to put up a fence if you know, if there's an opportunity to leave some existing vegetation
Okay.
along that boundary and not put up a fence, that might be a better option, but
I
we're
think
open
so
to,
too.
we're open
Okay.
to whatever, you know, open to whatever the adjacent neighborhood would like to see. But I know the land development code would allow a fence,
Sure.
and so we're okay
Okay.
with whatever on the buffer.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Brandon?
I just want to make one quick statement. I mean, my concern is not whether this project can legally be developed, because it absolutely can. My concern is whether the applicants demonstrated the sufficient justification for reducing the setbacks and increasing the impervious surface coverage beyond what our code normally allows. I believe that variances and deviations should be granted sparingly and only when clearly justified, and at this time, I'm not persuaded myself that the requested deviations are necessary. That's just how I feel, and I just wanted to go on record with that. So I'm good.
Okay. Any other discussion? Is the motion on the table and seconded? Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner?
Aye.
Councilman Ferris?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brandon?
Nay.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Mayor. We can return to the regular agenda, or if we want to allow the public an opportunity to slip out, we can do that as well.
It's like a 5-minute recess.
We'll take a 5-minute recess, please.
because this is just the first step. They need to pay their fees. We can't do a pre-construction conference until they pay their fees. We're waiting for them to pay the money they owe. So that's one of the conditions. Oh, yeah. Well, even if they didn't do a PDP, you know that property's gonna end up being developed anyway. You know, this has been a week of disappointment for me because I keep hearing about the way people behave badly. People are so unkind and really it's lashing out and there's no need. There's no need. I am tired in my soul from dealing with people who are people. Okay? That's where I'm at.
I'd like to reconvene the meeting, please. Next, under our staff reports, we're going to move to sewer.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to be asking for your approval to let Chelco build their service from where their service is currently to the lift station behind the elementary school. What's going on there is they got a service that's inside the field area of the elementary school. It's about a 30-amp bucket. We've had this happen before, and our pumps, crews on the load road trips there lately, we can't get to it. Can't do nothing about it, we get somebody to run it. We can give it service in case one of our pumps does trip from the load road, it won't trip the main breaker, and the other pump will actually work. And then we can actually service and get to our setup. That's what this is about. We check and do it 332, 334 service, which is about, $75 maybe. How far it's still the price is $21,204.56.
Okay.
What we do is an estimate, not really a price, a little more, a little less. That's the best I can get. The engineer running the jail can give you
Okay.
an estimate.
So you need a motion for this?
Exactly.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve Chelco $21,204.56.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Is there any public comment? If not, Councilwoman Hassner,
Aye.
Councilman Ferris,
Aye.
and Councilwoman Brennan.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you,
And
Paul.
Paul, it will be nice to see that done.
Yes, sir.
Engineering. Morning.
I'm back for an update on the Marquee Way West project. You should have some information in the packets. There was also a map presented. There was also a map handed to you prior to the meeting that I forgot to include in the packets. That map you've seen before, I presented it to you the last time I was here, where we talked about splitting this project up into phases. That'd be phase 1A and 1B, being the upland portions of the project. Phase 2 being the bridge portion, and then phase 3 would be Marquee Way East, everything east of 331 all the way to Highway 20. Since I've met with you, I have talked with the Department of Transportation. They're funding this project. There is $7.25 million allocated to the project. It actually came through general appropriation, but it's running through the Department of Transportation. So there has been $7.25 million funded that will build the upland portions of the project, and if there's anything left over, we can move that into the bridge construction portion. As we move into the bridge design, which is phase 2, we have a couple options that I want to present to you. Just kind of some background on how we got to where we're at. The bridge had a curve in it. The original design had a curve in it. When we got into the bridge development, the bridge manufacturer that we intend to use and the structural engineers both advised us that basically to go with a precast system, which was the original scope of the project, and with a curve in it, you lose a lot of the cost benefit of the precast system. The system itself is meant to be built on straight lines. That allows you to have precast barrier walls, precast deck beams, precast pile caps, and precast piles. If you put a curve in that bridge, what it does is it causes about half of those components to transition to cast in place, which drives the costs up significantly. Essentially, you'd be paying for a premium product and getting a less premium product in return. So what we have for consideration today is essentially 4 options. The first 2 options are precast bridges. The last 2 options are cast-in-place bridges. There's a comparison spreadsheet that's included there. Whichever option we choose, whether we go precast or cast-in-place, we also have an option to include pedestrian facilities or not to include pedestrian facilities. The current
scope of the project is just to have 12-foot lanes and 5-foot shoulders. The sidewalk on the west side would tie into the sidewalk that goes down Shipyard Road to the boat ramp, and the sidewalk on the east side would stop at the new dog park that's being proposed. That was just acquired through Freeport. I don't remember the name of the property owner, but there's a property the city is acquiring that there's a new dog park, and then the stormwater pond for this project will be situated there. So as we take a step back and look at these options, we want to discuss a few different things. There's the precast versus cast in place, and then whether or not to include this pedestrian facility. So I'll read through some of these options here, but the sheet is laid out. Option 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the four at the top. We've got pros and cons for each of those. Some of the pros for the precast bridge is it's quicker to construct. It's generally cheaper overall. Some of the cons for the precast bridge is that most of the time these bridges are used, they're 3 to 4 spans. Ours is going to be 35 spans. This will be the longest precast bridge this company has ever built if we go with this system. The longest one currently is the one that was just built on County Road 280B, just south of Defeniak. It's about 800 feet. Another somewhat negative thing of this project is that the system itself is only about 25 years old. So we don't know how it holds up over time compared to a cast-in-place bridge, which are typically 50 to 70-year design lives. So as you move down into these options, option 1 and 3 are without pedestrian facilities. Options 2 and 4 are with pedestrian facilities.
Hey, John, and what about the ability for lighting on the bridge?
So both of the types of bridges, lighting can be added. If we decide to go with pedestrian facilities, we do suggest that you add lighting for safety. There will be about 1,400 feet from the end of the sidewalk on each end. There's no lighting in there if we don't include it on the bridge. It can be retrofitted later if you decide to add it later, but we recommend adding it at the time you add pedestrian facilities if you do. So we've kind of laid out this matrix here. That's the middle part of the sheet that's in front of you. With the criteria on the left, and you'll notice that some of those criteria, we've color-coded them, and they get better as you go to the right, and some of them, they get worse as you go to the right. One of them being costs, right? As you go to the right, we're going with a more robust type of bridge, one that takes longer to construct. It has pedestrian facilities, so obviously the cost on that one's the highest. But at the same time, you have the highest public benefit out of that because you get good rideability. You get the pedestrian facilities, you get the lighting, and it's a little more customizable than what the precast options allow. So the four big things that we want you to take away are, if you go with the straight precast system, we think that initial cost is about $8 million to $9 million. That's kind of your base cost for a bridge construction. I think when we originally started talking about this, we were throwing around a number of about $4 million. That is just for the materials of the bridge. That is to get it constructed at the precast manufacturer site and get it delivered here. So the precast manufacturer and the structural engineers advised us that construction cost is generally about 2 to 2.5 times the bridge cost. So to have it installed would be $8 to $9 million if the parts are $4 million. So as you move through these options, obviously to add your pedestrian facilities to the precast bridge system is going to be somewhere between $1.5 million to $2.5 million because you're adding that width. It does lower the unit cost a little bit, but you're adding width overall, so the cost does go up. If we were to upgrade and keep no pedestrian facilities and just upgrade from a precast system to a cast-in-place system, that's somewhere between a $4 and a $9 million jump. While we're saying this, it's important to note that the high-end ranges on the cast-in-place bridge system, the cast-in-place bridge system, high-end costs are, like if you were to go with some really aesthetic-looking bridges, like some that you see over large waterways, large trophy pieces, big elevated things like that. This bridge won't be on the high-end range. If we go cast-in-place, it'll probably fall at the low to mid-range that we show here.
Can I ask a question?
Councilwoman Hafner.
Thanks, sorry, I appreciate what you're saying. I just had a couple comments really quick, if that's
Absolutely, go
okay.
ahead.
So My concern personally about the precast bridge is the length, and then it may only last 25 years, right? And so the other
So-
bridge,
The length is definitely a concern.
Right.
They have never built one this long.
Right, I don't like
If you
that.
haven't driven County Road 280B, I suggest you do that.
Right, I'm not a
It's about
fan.
a 10 or 15-minute drive that way.
Yeah.
But I drive it to work every day.
Right.
At higher speeds, it's pretty rough.
right?
If you drive 25 miles an hour, it's okay.
Well, me personally, I would like to see the pedestrian facilities included, so I like option number 4. I feel like it's gonna give us, it can last potentially 60 years. So for me, if we build this bridge, you know, the precast, and it's gonna last potentially 25 years, you're gonna be paying more, in my opinion, to rebuild this bridge in 25 years than just paying more now. Like, I think we would spend more money to buy something cheaper than replace it in 25 years than to keep something for 60 years, because the cost to build something again in 25 years is probably gonna be double what you're paying now.
That's correct.
And I do wanna have the pedestrian facilities, because I do think we have so many bike riders, walkers, so I don't wanna have somebody trying to walk on it with no facility, because that's gonna happen
Yeah,
too.
we just had a conversation about this development here and how you were worried about pedestrian safety, so
Right.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, so
And-
that's kind of where I said is almost a cost savings, because really you're looking at, I mean, it may potentially cost double the money, but it's gonna last more than double the time and not have to be replaced, and then,
And let me clarify, the
be a better
25-year lifespan that we're showing here is just because that's how long the system has been used.
right.
It may last
So we don't
50
know,
years,
right.
but,
But they've
but
never
we
built
don't
one
know.
that long. That's a huge, like, that's a big concern for
Yeah,
me
typical-
about,
These typical
how that's
are-
gonna
there's a lot of them on 30A.
Right.
That's these same type of bridges. There's, Okaloosa County does a lot of these type of bridges, but most of them are 3 to 4 spans max.
yeah, I don't like that ours is way longer than what they would build. So those are just kind of I need to see what, of course, and I don't know if we want to wait till our other council people are here to decide on this, or we want to make a decision. It's kind of a big decision, but I'd prefer to do something smarter that's going to last us longer and be safer than something that, I mean, what if they start to build this and it doesn't work because they've never built one this long? I mean, we could run into a whole lot of issues, I feel like, you know, but anyways, okay, that's all.
Councilman Ferris?
And I do agree with Councilwoman Hafner. I would have to go with option 4 because of the safety and
Yeah.
with it being something that can last a lot longer. I know the
Yeah.
price is more, but to be able to give the citizens or anyone something for the safety and something that's going to last longer than probably any of us on this council,
We're not going to be the guinea pig bridge
that
either.
I'd have to go with 4.
Okay.
Councilwoman Brannon?
I agree. I think option
Yeah.
4 is our only option,
Think so,
but I do
too.
think we need to wait for the
Yeah.
other council members to come back, since we're talking multi-millions of dollars for this
I'm
bridge.
wondering that
I would
too.
not feel comfortable voting on
Oh,
it
no.
without them being here too.
I'm definitely okay with that, and I would want to
Is
get
that
the other
okay?
council members'
Yeah.
approval too.
I mean,
We-
I feel like they'll,
We need the pedestrian and the lights, I'm all about that.
100%.
Because we've got way too many people that don't have the ability to,
yeah.
to have a car to use, and we have a lot of
For
people now
sure.
using.
Councilman Ferris?
I do have one more question, but I'm gonna ask Clay this. Where do we stand on that other property of being able to
We're in the
finish this out?
We're about to, if they don't give us a final answer, we're about to go into litigation. And ultimately, we know, at least with one of the parcels, the issues of the estates are so extreme. The inability to get them to, I can't ever recommend to the city that we take a deed from somebody that we know will take a title, because I can't give you an opinion of
Yeah.
title that will hold up. We do it with eminent domain, there are proceedings in Florida statute, specific steps we can take that mitigate that, so that's where we're at. We have to this summer, and hopefully by the end of the year, we have all those wrapped up.
That'll
And
be
Clay,
great.
I do owe you a new right-of-way for this, because we're straightening that bridge out,
Yeah,
so
that's,
we'll go back to,
I was gonna be nice
Somewhere
about
backwards
doing
in
that, but that is my last.
yeah, so.
So
And
do we
and I've
just-
talked to
I
Mark about
also
that.
didn't- I'll be honest, I also did not know, depending on what bridge y'all went with, that would change any of this, so I was gonna let y'all get through this today,
Okay.
circle back and make that decision.
And that's what
So
we talked
then-
with staff about last week, was getting this decision, and then we'll work forward to get the right-of-way back in.
So I would ask the council, in deference to ones who aren't here, if the 3 of you are in agreement that option 4 sounds better, I
Yeah.
would recommend we move forward, because that's
Oh,
But
sure.
the majority, even
Yeah.
the
Right.
ones who are here.
Right.
If it is not that, and I don't want to put too much pressure on any one of you to say that, to say yes or no, then we wait, but 2 weeks isn't gonna kill us in terms of my math.
Right.
But if you three all are in lockstep on, let's go option
I feel
4,
like they would be too,
then
though.
let's do it. If not,
Yeah.
let's wait for the others.
I mean, I'm either way. I couldn't imagine
I can't
either
think.
council person being against, I mean, I feel like we would be in agreement, but I'm open to whatever you all want to do.
I
I'm
think
either
they would
way.
be in agreement
I think,
also.
I feel like it's
Well, it's
Because
reasonable.
we've all worked hard on this.
Yeah.
It's the only real option.
It really
because to
is.
get the pedestrian and the
Right.
lighting and to make sure it's safe
100%.
and that we don't have to replace it in 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's the
so do y'all
only
want to move
option.
forward? I'll make a motion if we're comfortable to move forward, or what do you think, Ms. Bennett? You're good with that? Okay. Then I'll make a motion for option 4 on the bridge from Archway West.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Mauer.
Good morning, council.
Good morning.
I just wanted to throw a couple cents in for you. I couldn't resist.
Oh, thanks.
I've actually been designing these bridges and building those bridges for the last 25 years. I have them all over Walton County. I designed the one on 280B.
Okay.
The length issue is not an issue because they have expansion joints all the way through the decks. And so I don't think the length of the bridge being any longer would be an issue at all. The 280B bridge we built 5 years ago, call it, that was $2.6 million for 800 feet. That's a fraction of the cost that you guys are looking at committing to. And I would hate to see you in a situation where you guys are tens of millions of dollars away from being able to do the project. So I don't think the length is an issue at all. I can go to the bridges that I've built here in Walton County 25 years ago, and they look exactly the same today as they did 25 years ago. And so when he's suggesting that they might only last 25 years, I can take you to bridges that I put up 25 years ago, and they're in the exact same condition as they were the day we put them up. And so, I mean, it's a huge, huge difference in cost. And as far as pedestrian facilities, I have them with pedestrian facilities. I have prefab bridges with pedestrian facilities, and you can also put lights on them at any time.
Right, that
And
was one of
so
our
It's a
options.
huge difference in cost.
Yeah, about $10 million.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so what I would hate to see is, I would hate to see the city say, hey, we want to do port in place,
Yeah.
and 15 years from now,
That
we're still
changes
talking
everything
about
for
trying to
me.
build the
Yeah.
bridge, you know? So I honestly believe that the lifespan of the prefab bridges is at least 50 years, because the ones that I built 25 years ago are in the exact same condition today they were when we built them.
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
I understand his
fine.
position.
You can go option
His
2.
position is, I can't say they last more than 25 years because they only started building them 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But my position is, I designed and built them 25 years ago, and they're in the exact same condition today as they were when I built them.
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
I would say, I had to throw my 2 cents in. You guys
Sure, no, I
obviously,
appreciate it.
obviously need to do
No,
what the city
appreciate
needs to
it.
do, but I also don't want to see the city in a position where 6, 7, 8 years from now, you're still going to the legislature asking for money.
We
because
can't,
now-
we
Because
cannot
we
do
don't have
that.
the
Because
money to
now
do
the,
it.
cannot
now
do
the
that. We
project's
can't do
$20
that,
million.
Yeah.
So, I would ask you to keep that in mind.
Well, Cliff, so what would you
So,
suggest?
did you see this did you see this document?
I
So
have
there's
not.
another option that has precast
Option
with the
2.
pedestrian. Maybe we should look at that, because I was originally looking
Yeah, I
at
was
that until he said the
originally on option
25-year
2.
deal.
I would suggest there's a couple other benefits to those as well. That it uses much smaller equipment to set those precast units than you would if you did ASHTO girders, for example. Uses a lot bigger equipment, it's a lot bigger operation. The other benefit to the prefab bridges is you can also build them from top down. And so they wheel the equipment out onto the deck, and drive piles from the deck. They can do a lot of the stuff from the top of the deck as they're building the bridge out. And I've built some of those before as well. And so when you start doing port in place, there's a lot more disturbance because you have to set up formwork underneath the bridge to be able to build it.
I don't wanna
And you
do
also have to
that.
have bigger equipment
wanna do
most of the
that.
time, so.
Okay.
I would say, maybe just keep your options open, might be your best bet, you know, and, you guys are gonna bid this out ultimately anyways. The prefab bridge design is pretty much already done. There's pretty much a standard design that they have for the different loads.
Okay.
And so if you wanted them to design a port-in-place bridge to give you another option for pricing, then that might be an option for you if you wanted to test the waters and see what the price is. But I can tell you for sure, 4 years or 5 years ago, we built that bridge at 280B for $3,500 a foot, which came out to about 2.6 million for 800 foot.
Okay. Well, thank you. So can we withdraw, okay, so can I withdraw my motion and change, or amend my motion, sorry? To option two, that would be my opinion then, if everybody's in agreement with that. Who seconded it? Did you,
I
Eddie?
did.
Okay, so you amend your
Yes,
second?
I'll
Okay.
amend my second.
I'm Joseph Allday, Howell Engineering. Work with John. First of all, we're very honored to be doing this project. And obviously, the name of it's Marquee Way, and it's a marquee project for us. I guess once we really got into the design of this project, I guess there was just all kind of options that's been laid on the table, and a lot of things that have been in consideration. Mark and Latilda have been on the biweekly meetings. And you know, one of the things that I like about the cast-in place is that you're able to customize the bridge a little bit. You know, whether you have City of Freeport, you know, logo on the bridge, or just seagulls, or you know, anything like that. And of course, the lighting. I think it just gives a lot more flexibility. But in the day, I know it's money as a driving factor, and y'all have to consider that. And obviously, getting the funding and where the funding is going to come from. So I just wanted to bring that up. John could probably speak a little bit more on the structural part of it. He's talked to a lot of different structural engineers for both options. And I do think after talking to Latilda with the multimodal plan that y'all have going on, that either option 2 or option 4 are definitely
Right.
what the city needs.
I just don't think we can justify millions of dollars to potentially put a logo or a design on there. I mean,
Yeah.
right, I can't.
Well, the difference is gonna be about 10
Yeah, I
plus
mean, I
million
can't.
dollars difference
So what if our
between the two
logo isn't on
bridges.
there, that's fine. I
And if
mean,
we can
you
put
know.
lights on we can put lights on one of the precast bridges.
Right.
Have y'all ever done a project with precast bridges before?
No.
Okay. Would y'all need some help? Would we need to hire another engineer to come in that's done it like Cliff for 20-something years? Would y'all
No.
need any
Well,
assistance
so
when it gets to it?
in John's work on the scope of the project, as far as what the way our current contract is, we're handling the design of that and everything.
Okay.
If you went to a cast-in place, then a structural engineer would be needed to assist with that design, and that's part of the cost that's considered in
Okay.
option 3 and 4.
Yeah, I'm for
Well,
option
yeah,
2.
we've done our motion and second. We just have to vote, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Any other comments? The motion on the table is for option 2,
Yes,
and it's been seconded.
yes.
Councilwoman Heffernan.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Brandon.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And Ms. Brandon, we have been working with Cliff. He is doing this free of charge, so
Great.
thank you.
That's
He-
awesome.
He's
Thank
been
you,
he's been
Cliff.
a wealth of knowledge on this stuff.
He
so-
is a
Absolutely.
wealth of
We
knowledge.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Legal.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a request to move forward what is labeled as the Danton Bruce annexation. If you will turn to pages tab 5 of your packet, you can look at the highlighted parcel in red, which is an inverted L shape. I want to call to your attention a couple of things. This property, I've looked at it quite a lot. If you look at it, when it comes in, the initial thought is that you would be in a position where you are potentially creating an enclave back to the east. Their solution to that has basically been to cut off the south 100 feet of the property line that would allow for there to be a court. So, since they're not annexing in a finger-like pattern, they're technically compliant with statute. But what they are doing by cutting off and allowing this one little strip is something that this council over the past 8 to 10 years has basically said almost unanimously across all of those annexations was not something this council favored. But because I cannot at my level deny it because it is not actually a violation of the state statute, I did want to present it to you. I've looked at this multiple ways. I will be candid. I don't see a way for them to get this into the city without that carve out. I met with Latilda and Mark about this before we put it on the agenda for this meeting to go through it. Staff doesn't see a way in which we can bring this in without that cutout being done. And that is up to the council. So what I need from the council is a motion to either direct me to proceed with advertising for first reading, second reading, and public hearing for adoption for this annexation, or if the council still feels uncomfortable with letting these little slivers stay out of the city, which have caused us problems in the past, and that's why the council's denied it, then I need a motion to reject the request for annexation and not proceed with advertising.
Where's this located?
So if you look at it, we are all, that backs up to Hammock Bay.
Okay.
So it is off 83A, it is one parcel in from Bailey. And if you do look at the mapping, the top parcel of this already is split. Half of it is in the city, half of it is out. That there's some historical element there, that the back part of that property is virtually undevelopable from what they saw compared to where the homes were. So they said, look, we want the home to be in the city, but we don't want the rest of it. If it's gonna keep us from coming to the city, because it would have created an enclave. So that's what happened years and years and years and years ago, based on my conversation with Tilda. But what I would say to the council is, they have presented an annexation that can satisfy Florida statute if you wanted to proceed, but it does not necessarily meet this council's prior policy. So rather than me reject it, I have to put it before you, but I can't find another way to bring it in without what they're proposing. You know, I look at these very detailed.
If you look at the top of the map, you'll see, that subdivision on the left side of what is, Bangor. That's the Crossings development right at Pine Point Road. And then you continue down a little over a half a mile, and as you go south, the property is on your left, but it's not right directly on the road, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
He's saying it's not consistent with what we've done.
I'll make a motion to deny.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny. Is there any further comment? Is there any public comment?
Hi there, y'all. I'm Ricky Fannin. My last name is Fannin. This property is the Cutchins property and the Gilman property. The Cutchins have been here for generations, and they're looking to develop the property for more housing, to bring in more city revenue. And the only way they can do this is to bring in city annexation into the city. So we feel that, you know, in order to do this, to create tax revenue and to allow this, is for this to happen. We met with Ms. Latilda on this property, and, you know, I don't know if she'd be willing to speak, but was in favor of doing this.
Well, we went through the usual process. We had a pre-application meeting on the annexation. We advised them of all the submittals that had to take place. And we also advised that, you know, if the entire property comes in, it definitely cannot be approved because it literally blocked off a piece of property and surrounded it with city property. So you end up with what we call an enclave of some parcels that would not be in the city.
18 parcels.
Right, and we don't typically do that.
And we don't.
Right.
But we cannot legally annex
Right.
in as an enclave, so their solution was to carve off there is 300 feet that is not in the city of what will be the westernmost parcel on the southern boundary. They are they're including 200 in the annexation and then carving off the bottom 100 of one of the parcels to allow a corridor to get in and touch, and that little strip of land would just never be in the city.
I'm not.
That's what, that's,
And there's never any expectation of approval or denial on these applications. It's just a matter of,
It's
if
a policy
you do it
decision.
this way,
Yeah.
you absolutely cannot get approval.
so,
And then it's up to them to try to address it.
and remember, about 5 years ago, before the statute changed, I would actually bring these forward, we'd go through first reading, we'd actually have to start the process. Now, we're required to get ordinance numbers before we advertise. The statute changed on us, so I just don't feel comfortable coming to you, asking for an annexation number, asking to start spending the city's money, doing the actual advertisements, only to come back when it's there and say, well, by the way, this isn't what you wanted before, city. Because then the first
Yeah.
time you'd be seeing the map is after we've already paid money to
Right.
advertise. So I know I've changed how some of you who've seen it for years look at it, but I wanted to go ahead and know because it is lawful, but it is inconsistent with what this council has chosen.
Councilwoman Brennan?
Well, we've turned down, even in the last year, I can think of several we've turned down with the same request. So just like earlier, we're gonna have it thrown back in our face if we agree to do this because, oh
Right.
yeah, remember that time 2 weeks ago when y'all did this? No, we want to do it because we've turned down a lot of people. I mean, there was that huge project out there on
Yeah.
20 that we turned down not long ago.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I'm doing it is not to be ugly or anything. It's based on what he said, and he said it's not good to do this.
It creates a problem
It
for
creates
us
an
because
issue.
we've got gaps in our service
So-
area that if we're ever asked, we're gonna have to go ask the county to go through the annexation by interlocal option to get this cleaned up.
Right.
Which right now is not something that anybody's ever wanted to start doing. I don't see that being proven at this point in time.
So I'm
Counsel-
not going against the attorney.
Councilman Ferris?
And I do hate it,
I
but
do too.
we've got to go about what our attorney's also advising us. And we've been consistent
Yeah,
with
we've
it.
gotta stay
And it's
consistent.
nothing to reflect on Ms. Cutchins or any of that, or
I
what,
wish we could.
what she's wanting to do out there.
And I want you to know, I've gone through, I've looked at what would be the 13 parcels much further to the north, that many years ago, we're talking about that gets back in almost probably the early, actually the mid-80s.
Yes.
Has a huge block of enclave to see if there's any way I could get an opening back out through that, or if there's any right-of-way, power line easements, or other methods where this would open. If that would, we would be okay, but unfortunately, we're basically now taking an area that is as close to an enclave as you could possibly have it and
Yeah.
completely sealing it off. And
Yeah.
I wish that little corridor wasn't there, because we could probably work something out with these other parcels behind them pretty easily to get them into the city, I think. But I just don't see a way of addressing those 13 further to the north
Yeah.
without them doing it. That's the stuff, that's the part we're stuck with.
So that's what we'd have to do is get all the surrounding
You would need.
parcels to.
What you would need is to get the parcels that are due east, which are there are 2 20-acre tracts at the Taunton
Okay.
piece, the Caraval piece, and then there are 3 parcels totaling 20 acres, 10, 5, and 5. You need all of those. We then need the entire corridor running up to the 13 acres, or excuse me, the 13 properties that situate further north.
Will you show me on this?
It's not on that map. What I could tell you is, you can see, go straight up to there, there's a little white line directly at the top, that corridor and the 13 parcels above. If you look at the map, you'll clearly see it jumps out when the municipal annexation layers on. Now, if we do that, I'll tell you this, I'd tell, hey, if they can bring us all those, I'd say waive the annexation fee on every single one of them and let them do it, guys. Because that's one I'm gonna tell you do, because it really helps clean up our map.
Yeah.
Okay. So do we need to
The
hold,
denial, the
deny
denial
it
is
and they can
appropriate
come
as
back?
presented.
Okay, okay, I understand.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor for denying it, and a second.
As presented.
as presented.
Any further discussion? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brennan.
Aye.
Motion carried to deny.
Bring us back all 18 pieces and no carve-out. It's probably a easy ask.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Parks?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, council, mayor.
Hello.
So I have one item on the agenda, looking for approval for a baseball tournament at the sports complex on August 1st and 2nd. It is fields 1 through 4. And the guy's here that's doing the tournament, if you have any questions, he's here if you want to talk to, but just
No,
looking
I'm
for
good.
approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the baseball tournament.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Brennan.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back to planning.
We got a different system, Rebecca. We need like a side table or something, you know? We do.
Good morning, Mayor and Council, and I appreciate your patience as we try to get through these projects as expediently as we can. The only two items that planning has left on the agenda, our first item is the pedestrian master plan scope of services. And if you look at tab 7 in your book, there's a pretty detailed explanation about the pedestrian master plan. We've received a Safe Routes for All, an SR4A grant from DOT in the amount of $168,000. And we confirmed with Liberty Partners, who acquired that grant on our behalf, that the funds have to be used for planning efforts and they cannot be used for existing construction projects. Obviously, staff, as soon as we found out we had the grant, we were really eager to finish our sidewalk on 331 business, but they won't allow us to use it for projects under construction. So as standard practice, we requested and received a scope of services from Anchor CEI, which is on our city rotation for engineering firms for the development of a Freeport multimodal master plan or pedestrian master plan, whatever you want to call it. And that will include, at a minimum, the existing and planned multimodal paths, existing and planned sidewalks, crosswalks, intersection improvements, lighting improvements, and bicycle facilities at the park. Now, the attached scope of services for what they want to do, what Anchor CEI has presented to us is $206,180,000. And this exceeds the amount of the grant by $38,180, but I reviewed the scope of services. It's a good scope of services. It's quite comprehensive in what we need, and I had a conversation with Mr. Bruce from Finance, and he has confirmed that we can handle the overage through our streets line item, that we do have that amount available. So staff is recommending approval of the Anchor CEI scope of services to be funded by the Safe Routes for All funds totaling $168,000 and city funds from the street line item totaling $138,180 for a total of $206,180. Sure.
Sorry, is that okay? So, I'm sorry, Latilda, you said the difference was 38,180, right?
That is
But
my understanding, yes.
In the bottom, it says 138,180. Was there another 100,000 you needed, or was
No,
that just a mistype?
that's
or-
a mistype,
Okay, sorry.
please.
I was just making sure.
Thank you. That is a typo on my behalf.
No,
I did
that's
this late in
okay.
the afternoon. I don't mind.
No, I thought maybe there was something else you
No,
needed the money for, sorry.
$38,180
Is gonna
is
come
the
out of the street
overage to come
fund.
out of streets.
Okay, all right, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Brennan.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And the next item is a scope of services with Anchor CEI for a comprehensive plan update. At a previous meeting, I discussed with you the fact that due to new legislative requirements, the city is being required to do a comprehensive plan update, adding additional timelines for review, but also at the same time, we have to update our data analysis for consistency, which means we're updating all our information regarding infrastructure. That's water, sewer, stormwater, solid waste, parks and recreation. So we went to, again, looked at our consulting engineering roster. Anchor CEI is very well versed in doing comprehensive plan updates, and they're actually doing several in the area using the same technical assistance funding that the city's applied for. Now, we won't get the final results until midsummer on the technical assistance. There's no reason why we won't. Every community is getting it. You just have to apply for the technical assistance. But the city is on a very tight timeline because we have to have that comprehensive plan update adopted into Florida Commerce, formerly known as DEO, formerly known as DCA, prior to March 1 of next year. Otherwise, we will not be able to, they basically put a hold on us. We are held to a very tight timeline.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go ahead and get this scope of services in place. We'll have the technical assistance grant in a couple of months. Now, there is a differential of $1,570 in their scope of services, but that could come out of outside labor and services in the planning and zoning budget. This is to assist planning and zoning with completing this project. And I did discuss that with Bruce, and we determined that was the appropriate place for that little bit of overage to come from. So I'm asking for approval of this scope of services to do the comprehensive plan update in the amount of $76,570, using the technical assistance program for $75,000 and planning and zoning funds from their outside labor and services line item and $1,570. But the actual total will be $76,570.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any public comment? Councilwoman Hafner.
Aye.
Councilman Ferris.
Aye.
And Councilwoman Brennan.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And just so you know, I did want to introduce Emily from Anchor CEI. She came representing the firm in case there were any technical questions, but I wanted to be able to put a face with a name.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Moore and Brittany Trumbull are actually the owners of Anchor CEI, but Emily has been working with me on these proposals.
That's
So,
good.
say hey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have today.
Is there any public comment? Motion? Adjourned.